Okay, cool. Hey everyone. My name is Sushant. I'm the founder and CEO of Pallet. As many of you know, enterprise AI has been a really big topic lately. Everyone's been talking about AI. It's been something we've been hearing about a lot. But the question is, where is the ROI behind all this investment? And today, I wanted to talk to you a bit about how we at Pallet as a company help you determine how to deploy AI successfully for supply chain operations. So I'm the founder and CEO of Pallet. We're a San Francisco-based company, and we help large-scale manufacturers, retailers, and 3PLs really figure out how to deploy AI successfully in their operations in a way that can actually go drive ROI. So today I wanted to walk you through a couple of distinct areas. The problem, how to identify how to evaluate solutions, how do you see results, and ultimately, what is your path forward ahead from here? So there's a recent study that shows that there's $2.5 trillion spent in 2026 on enterprise AI. Just to kind of set the size and scale for all of you, that's 2 times the size of the economy of the Netherlands. That's 10% the size of the GDP of the EU. And that's 1.5% the size of the global GDP. In 2020, this number was 150 billion. So we're seeing about a 20x scale in AI investment in the last 6 years. And by 2028, that number is projected to be $5 trillion. And just to kind of set context on what 5 trillion means, that means 25%, there's an equivalent of 25% of the size of the European economy being invested in AI solutions. But despite all that investment, the question becomes, where are returns? There's a really shocking MIT study that's showing that despite the $2.5 trillion that's gone into AI investments, 95% of enterprise AI pilots have not been successful. So what we're seeing is there's so much CapEx, so much investment happening, but very little success. And it's not because frontier models are not delivering results. It's really because the enterprises haven't thought through the right ways on how to go identify how to deploy this technology, how to deal with change management. And that's what I'm here today to clarify. So the most common issue we've seen is many of you are here at this conference. You're going and looking for various AI solutions and you see a really slick demo. The demo actually looks great. Maybe it shows you a voice AI agent that has a very effective conversation. Maybe you see the best document processing technology. But then what ends up happening is you try one of these products, the demo seems great, you use it, and it doesn't go according to plan. Why does this happen? Why are you seeing these demos that are so effective, but when you bring it to production, things don't go look great? It's because real-world deployments are messy. There's a lot of your own systems we have to go and plug into, and some of these systems are on-prem systems that honestly are hard to interact with. There's a lot of tribal knowledge today that's not well captured. There's a lot of nuances on how you even think about implementing this stuff in a way that's easy for your operators to go and define. So when you think about it, from tribal knowledge to integrations to change management, there's a huge difference between what you have in a demo to what takes to go and productionize these deployments. And that's where most people are falling short. So I thought, when I was giving this talk, I was like, how can I be effective in making sure that this is a good use of everyone's time? I wanted to walk you, if there's one thing I want you all to walk away with today, it's a framework on how do you even assess these solutions to successfully get ROI. And that's what I'm here out today to give you to do, is how do you become not one of those companies in that 95%, but become the handful of folks that actually have seen ROI, that successfully know how to deploy these solutions and turn it into a competitive advantage for your supply chain operation. So let's maybe take a fundamental step. The question that I often get from a lot of CIOs and operators is, why do we not just build it ourselves? Well, the reason that it's actually harder than you think to build it yourself is successfully learning how to work with these models just takes a lot of time. Where what you often have to figure out is that they inherently are non-deterministic. So maybe you've probably seen this yourself, is when you ask ChatGPT the same question 10 times, it oftentimes does not give the same response. But when you're dealing with messy supply chain operations, what you find is like when it's a customs filing or when it's asking your partner about the status of a shipment or it's responding back to your customers about what's happening to their order, 90% is not good enough. You need it to be consistent and accurate. And that's just something that takes time and expertise to go and refine. So it might take you 6 to 12 months to even get there. The second thing is you actually have to, it's not about just investing once into this effort. There's an ongoing cost of engineering maintenance that exists here, where what might happen is your solution could work well day one, but 6 months out, you've added 5 new customers. Those 5 new customers have new operating procedures, and your team is left maintaining and changing, and that's taking away their time from all the other initiatives they're working on. So you have this ongoing cost you've never accounted for. And the last thing is the AI world is so dynamic. Every time there's a new model that comes out, every time there's a new release that comes out, you have to basically rethink your solution over and over again. This isn't like static software where every time OpenAI or Anthropic or Google or the open source providers are releasing a new model, it's actually very imperative that you actually go and test, does the new model improve accuracy? Does it lead to regressions? And when these things are dynamic and evolving all the time, on top of running your core business, you're left with a lot of time just maintaining. So if you got to think about it, your time to value is often longer when you build it in-house. You're dealing with a dynamic world where your customers are shifting and you have to constantly have cost of maintenance. And on top of it, the model providers are always releasing new models, so you have to constantly go and reassess your solution. So there's a lot that it takes to maintain it and build it in-house. It's not as simple as it seems. But then you're back to square one, which is like there's a bunch of AI vendors out there. They all have great demos. How do you tell who's full of shit and who's actually delivering ROI? So the first thing I would say is it's really important that you understand how to define success when you're going and defining the vendor. Pick a metric. It could be the percentage of shipments that are touchless. It could be the number of customs orders filed. But it's very important that you're highly opinionated about this metric. Because what you want to effectively do is when you're looking at a bunch of vendors, you want to hold them to the same standard and be like, look, I'm going to put 3 of you through a pilot, and I'm going to assess you on a metric like the number of touchless shipments processed, or the number of percentage of customer support tickets deflected. And when you do that, you're forming an objective grounding on what is accuracy, what is the metric you want to define, and you're not biasing yourself to a demo. The second thing is whatever vendor you're working with, you don't want someone who's just giving you something off the shelf. You actually want someone who's willing to do the messy work of helping you work with your internal systems, coming on site to help your team through change management. If someone's sitting there and telling you that they'll get you to a deployment in a day, probably not going to work. You need someone who's actually coming on site and giving you embedded expertise wherever you are in the world to make sure that your deployment, you have successful change management, it plugs in well with your systems, and there's real value being delivered. And the final thing I would say is when you're deploying AI, it needs context. Like the humans in your business are successful because they just understand how to work with all the different customers they have. The AI probably doesn't have all the context that they do. So if you want it to have a successful deployment, it's very imperative that the provider you have is a very well thought out strategy on how do they capture all that tribal knowledge? How do they document those SOPs? How do they do things so that the AI is effective? So if I had to summarize, be very clear about the success metric. Make sure whoever you are is embedded. They're not just an off-the-shelf provider. They treat this like a McKinsey or Cognizant style deployment. And the final thing is that they really have an understanding on how to codify all the tribal knowledge in your business. If you don't have these 3 things, good luck. Your deployment's probably not going to go as well as you think. So what are some proof points of successful deployments that have happened? Maybe I wanted to give you an example of 3 case studies of this going right. The first is with Lineage, which is the largest cold chain operator in the world. So about 25% of the global food supply chain, refrigerated global food supply chain, flows through Lineage warehouses. So Lineage decided to work with Pallet on automating all of their global order processing. So think of this as about 2 million orders are flowing through Pallet today, annualized. And what they found was we were able to achieve a 99% touchless shipment processing rate. And at the business at scale, has saved about $10 million on their bottom line. They've been able to identify opportunities where the commercial team can take all the data we've digitized and go and utilize that to create new sales opportunities. So what they found is from 49 days from kickoff, we've been able to deploy our AI successfully to help them save about $10 million annually on just one use case. How did we do that? We did that by doing all of the things we talked about, going on site to their team, capturing all that tribal knowledge, figuring out how to plug in with all their distinct warehouse management systems. They have hundreds of different warehouse management systems across their business. And also, more importantly, learning how do we make change management easy for their team on every single aspect so their operators know how to interface with these AI solutions effectively. Now, the business is well ahead and it's well into their AI journey, and we're on a journey to help them save about $50 million on their of operating expenses in the next calendar year. The second example is a company called Prism Logistics. This one's a bit interesting because the CEO had a mandate where the private equity firm that controls the asset told him, you have to add revenue, but you can't add headcount. So he was in a tough spot. He's like, if I need to work with these providers like Aquafina and I need to work with all these different shippers, how do I do that if I don't have more people to help me invoice? I don't have more people to help me manage a load. I don't have more people to help me book carriers to work with. This is a large freight broker in the United States. And they were faced with an impossible mandate. Grow revenue, but don't add costs. Don't add headcount. So he turned to Pallet. And within 2 months of deploying Pallet, he was able to sign 2 really big enterprise customers that drove an increase of 20% in revenue. But what's fascinating was he did that while improving his net margins by 10%. And how was he able to do that? We were able to build agents for him to handle the entire life cycle of an order without a human touch. So what that effectively means is that when he works with a new shipper, from how he selects which carriers to book on, how they track the status of a load, how they invoice, all of those things today are being handled by an AI agent versus being handled by a human. So effectively, he was able to have AI handle the increase in demand that he was able to have and allow there still to be a bit of attrition on the team and still manage that growth without needing effective headcount. The final example I wanted to give you was a use case that is very costly to get wrong. We work with this very large freight forwarder in the United States called Mallory Alexander. And they today trust Pallet with all of their customs filings. So the thing about customs filings that's scary is if you make an incorrect assumption, there are massive fines. Like think in the order of magnitude of $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for making one of these filings incorrectly. So you just really cannot get these submissions wrong. And the CEO was a bit skeptical on can AI actually go and handle this? And what we saw is with the most recent reasoning models, that actually turns out that with the right sort of guardrails, we can. So this business basically went from having to have all these folks that are just basically filing documents all the time and taking some of their best team members to go and do that, to now having our agents achieve 99.9% accuracy on filing these customs documents on their behalf in the United States. There's about 6 of these documents you have to file per shipment. And the company was able to add $1.8 million into their bottom line of EBITDA. And that was under the span of 6 months. So if you take a look at this, all of these companies have actually achieved massive AI gains and they're starting on their journey. So there really is, whether it's handling your orders, whether it's being able to handle the surge in demand, or whether it's filing these gnarly custom documents where the accuracy rates are, where the room for error is really low, there clearly is a world where AI has had a success case in all these different scenarios. So you don't have to be in the 95% that's not getting the ROI from these pilots. There's a path forward to make sure you can have your successful AI deployments work well. And the way I kind of think about it is it's very important to have a vision of where you want to take AI across your business, but don't boil the ocean early on. Start small. And by that, what I mean is it's very important that we pick one use case at the beginning that you know is very impactful. It might feel routine, but really identify one use case and start with identifying how you'd solve that problem. So the way we do this is we go and we take a customer's inbox and we look at what are the most repetitive tasks that they're doing. It might be something as simple as someone asking you, where's my shipment? It might be as simple as someone asking you to reschedule an appointment. And that might feel like a lame way to start a broad AI strategy, but by starting with that simple workflow and getting it right, you actually build a lot of trust internally where you have that confidence the next one and the next one kind of go well. So once you've identified what that workflow is, you should run a holistic evaluation of a couple of different providers to see who actually can hit those accuracy metrics you've laid out and get them to and identify which one to go and trust. Do not trust the demo. Really run a thorough pilot that allows you to go evaluate and assess how accurate these solutions are. And the final thing is, once you've done that, what you should do is you should start building out a roadmap of what are the next 10 to 15 agents to go and deploy, and then systematically go and run the same process over and over again of identify your success metric, test a couple of different vendors, and make sure that you hold them to that accuracy standard and make sure that the deployments go well. And if you do this over and over and over again, what you find is in a year, you're able to achieve a dramatic increase in ROI for your business. So maybe if I had to leave you with one question, is just think about one workflow, if any. If there was one workflow that we could do and automate that would help drive ROI for their business, what is that? And then come to a set of providers like us and assess this holistically on everything from how do we drive accuracy in that pilot, how do we embed it with your operation, how do we handle your tribal knowledge effectively so you can get started in this AI journey. These are an example of a lot of the leading providers who've had success with us. It's everyone from Estee Lauder to Lineage, the largest cold chain operator in the world. We're now starting to do work with FedEx. And what we found is all of these businesses deploying AI successfully are seeing massive operating income gains on their balance sheet. And almost all of them are seeing somewhere between a 3 to 10x ROI. So that means for every dollar of AI spend, they're getting $3 to $10 of cash flow back into their business. So these gains have been astronomical. And I would love to get every single member of the audience on this journey of actually having AI deployments that drive ROI. Thank you all very much. If you want to talk to our team, we're at Pallet. We'd love to work with as many of you to get you started on your AI journey. But thanks again for the time here.